All right, once again, peace and love, family. This is Mark English here with Chris, SurvivorManly. And we have a guest today, powerful guest. We got Daniel Hernandez. We're going to be talking about the supernatural and the experience he's have personally, and also with a very interesting character as well, like almost like a Bruce Lee, almost,
Mm-hmm.
So, Daniel, really great to have you here, man. How you feeling today, man?
Thank you, man. Hey, I'm feeling great, man. Like I told you guys earlier, man, I had heard several of your podcasts, bro, and I was totally with the vibes. I was like, man, I'll just jump on that podcast just for the vibes, bro. But since you guys were talking about, the supernatural abilities, and like I was mentioning to Chris earlier, so many of us have read about these things and like done research, and like we know, like a part of us just feels like, there's got to be more. Like we see it from time to time, bro. You hear the stories, right, of like the mother that freaking picked up a car with one arm to save her baby, and all these things. So it's like we know it's possible, but very few of us may have that direct experience with it. So that's why I kind of felt, I felt propelled or whatever to to share my story. And so I guess without further ado, I'll go ahead and just share a little bit of how it began for me, right? And even if you're not into, this is a martial arts story, but even if you're not into it, man, this has a lot of principle, like spirituality and mind control, like self-knowledge principle. That's what actually got me into this whole path, into the pranic path as well. So anyhow, it all started, man, one day at the gym. I had actually I watched the Ip Man movie. If you don't know who Ip Man is, he was Bruce Lee's master, and so the IP man. And so if you've seen that movie, like that got me into that path, because I was into boxing for 10. I was off and on for 10 years training in boxing. And when I watched that movie, it was kind of the opposite of boxing. Boxing, you're like, trying to kill the other guy before he kills you. And this one was, very relaxed and present and in the moment, and the way he deflected everything was minimal movements, and so it really intrigued me. And so I ended up going to a Wing Chun school and learning from there. And yeah, they taught a lot of relaxation, and the people there were freaking awesome. I love them. But it was different when I met this dude, and it was actually at LA Fitness, out of all places, and I was hitting the bag, and this guy just comes up to me out of nowhere, and he's like, it's all about the structure, his eyes all real big. I'm like, what the hell is this guy talking about, And I was like, out of humility and whatever, out of respect, I'm hearing him out, and he's like, all right, he did this elbow demonstration with me, right, where he told me, stop my elbow from coming down, and I had both my arms under him, so I got leverage. And sure enough, I lifted his whole body off the ground. He couldn't bring his arm down. And he's like, all right, that's me using muscle. Now I'm going to turn on, right? And all I noticed that his body basically became erect, and his elbow went straight down, bro. And I was like, hold up. Let's try this again. I got all set up, put my elbows on my stomach. I wish I could show it so you could really, really see it. But basically that his elbow just came straight down, even though I had more leverage than him in that particular motion. And it was like the best way I could describe it, man. It was like a wave. Like I couldn't stop. You can't stop a wave. Like you don't even know where it's coming from. Or even more, I would even say that it was such a precise movement that it just cuts straight through like a knife. You can't stop a knife, right? With force, like it's gonna cut through. If you put your hand out, it's gonna still cut through it. So it was similar to that. And I was describing to you guys earlier, man. When I put force, and first of all, I knew right away that this wasn't regular muscular force, right? Because I'm used to boxing, I'm used to like wrestling and stuff like that. I've done that many times with friends. And so I'm used to regular muscular force, and like Arnold Schwarzenegger, a big guy, if he has to lean his body on you though, and then push you. This guy was freaking with one arm. Like, I mean, he was just effortlessly, without leaning in or anything, would just give me a slight little push, bro. And I would move 5 or 10 feet. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And it would get to, it was to the point that I was like, bro, like this has to be like like placebo effect, hypnotic suggestion or something, because you see those videos on YouTube, right, where the freaking guys like moving them and doing all this crazy stuff without touching them. And I'm not saying that's not possible, I haven't experienced that, but a lot of times it's just hypnotic suggestion. So I was like, bro, I gotta see this guy doing it to random people at the gym who are, you know, who are bigger than him. And sure enough, because we're at LA Fitness, there's plenty of, you know, big dudes out there. And sure enough, man, he would do it to the biggest guys out there, man. I'm talking guys that can clearly bench 300, 400 pounds, freaking tanks, Hulk looking guys. And it was amazing to see, bro. He would move them around like rag dolls. And the whole time he's just talking through it calmly to them, like, you gotta relax and raise the spine. Yeah, because he never did it like showing off. That's what I loved about him. He always did it from a humble place, like really trying to teach them, you know? And the guy, bro, he's not even hearing what he's saying. He's just like, you know, my freaking ego's on the line. I gotta get through this. There's girls watching me, you know, it's at the gym. And so, you know, like they had, these people barely knew him, you know what I mean? Like he was just a familiar face. So they had no reason to play nice. And that's the difference with like a lot of other different martial artists or whatever, not to knock on anybody, but they're in their own schools or students, they're like compliant opponents and stuff like that. But these were people, man, who freaking like, dude, like their egos on the line. Like they had something to prove, you know, and they were not gonna just get bitched out, for the lack of a better word. And they would just strain. The bigger they were, the worse it was for them, because the more they'd strain and tense up, and they would be running out of breath while he's just talking to them. And I think honestly that was like pissing them off more. I don't know, but after they finally, like, because at some point, bro, it's like the soul just leaves, man. It's like your breath is gone. You gave up. Like, you know, like whatever this guy wants to do to you, he can do to you. Like, that's it. Like, surrender to him, you know? And then they sit down, they take some like 5 minutes to catch their breath while you know, while my brother, my Sifu, whatever, you know, Sifu in Chinese is teacher, which I find it quite I don't resonate a lot with like the whole master thing, because I feel like that takes power away from you. But a teacher definitely he is, and in many ways he's my mentor as well, and good friend and brother. But anyhow, he, you know, what was interesting too is that if I put force on your arm, right, if you fight against it, you know, your bicep is going to tense up, your deltoids, all these parts are going to tense up to fight it. But when he does it, you know, it's completely soft. It's baby soft. The bicep is completely soft. So it's like, it makes you wonder, like, what is holding it up, right? And to chiropractors, it drives them crazy, like that like, this doesn't make any sense to them. I mean, to anybody really. But the thing is, he would tell me that, you know, we have the skin, then underneath that we have like the muscles, and then we have the bone, but inside the bone we have the energy. And basically when you learn to tap into that part, muscles can't really affect you like that, you know? So that's why no matter how big the other person is, it's like they cannot touch his center of gravity. And that's another way I look at it. What it is because most of the practice, the biggest thing is really and it's so interesting, right? It always comes back to this, but it's about raising the spine, right? And so it's so interesting that so many practices talk about this, right? In yoga, everywhere, even in breath work, they tell you keep the spine aligned. You got the chakras on the spine. So I find it so interesting that it all kind of comes back to that. And he would tell me little things like, you know, if you got shot basically in the lower part of the spine, right, you'd lose control of your legs. You know, if you got it up to like your chest, you know, you lose control from everything down. And, you know, if you get your neck, that's it, you lose control of everything beneath your head. And so the spine is really the most important part. That's our core. And when we're in that space, when you're in that center of gravity, nobody can take it from you. You know, this is what he would always tell me. And so when you're in that center of mass, the best way, like my theory of how this all works is because you found your center of mass, you have your you have mass behind your every movement. That means even your fingers, which even his fingers, bro, felt strong as hell. It feel like you're wrestling a 300-pound gorilla or a freaking robot, bro. Like sometimes, honestly, it was kind of scary, bro. Like it felt like, what the hell am I touching here? What am I like, you know what I mean? And so it's a very interesting thing. But yeah, but anyhow, what I was getting at was that when you find that center point, right? When you become aligned with gravity, because if you imagine a skeletal frame and you align it, right? Just to say you get a dummy or whatever, that's just a skeletal frame. If you align it perfectly with gravity, it'll stand on its own, right? It doesn't need quads, it doesn't need thighs or calf muscles or any of that. So essentially you're up the spine and aligning your body in such a way that it could stand on its own. And he says it's like you're sitting on yourself. So you're standing effortlessly. And then when you're in that space, right, you first learn to get to that point. And many times, many people can get to that space when they're standing still. But then if they go to move, they can no longer hold it, and much less against force. So it's a process that you learn to get to that level. But essentially, you can move effortlessly against pressure. Your joints can move effortlessly. And so again, when you get to that center point, center of mass, it's like even his fingers have his entire body mass behind it. So your body is moving as a single unit as opposed to fragmented pieces, how we typically move. And so since our birth, you know what I mean, we've been using muscular force. So a lot of this is like spiritual practices. It's more about actually unlearning what we've learned, deconditioning everything it is, adding on, and it's subtracting, not subtraction, not addition. So it's just interesting. It's a way that you learn how to cultivate that intention, that same intention that a mom picking up a car to save her baby. Like she has such strong intention that, but it's learning how to do it intentionally. And that's what this art, that's what this art teaches. And that's why, I'll just go ahead and say the name of it. It's called Wing Chun. But the reason I was reluctant to even start going into the whole martial art terminology is that first of all, most of the schools that you go to will not know this. Will not know this part. It's kind of like how yoga, and it's funny because I could see this is what happened in religion as well, right? It's like at one point it was connected to source, and then it just kept getting lost in techniques or quote unquote prayers and all these things. It becomes westernized, right? And then they got to make it into a system to make money off of it or whatever. And a lot of the essence gets lost. That's what happened in yoga too. So likewise with Wing Chun, most of them can't do that, and so even Bruce Lee, bro, I freaking love the man to death. And straight up, like I probably wouldn't be in this path if it wasn't for him. Half your favorite MMA fighters wouldn't. And he, like basically the father of MMA. But like even he couldn't figure out why every time he would train every freaking muscle in his body doing 1 finger, 2 finger pushes, and he couldn't figure out why when he went back to China to roll with Ip Man, he still couldn't, Ip Man would still basically do whatever he wants with him, you know what I mean? Because it was an internal piece that was discovered. And so it's wild. I could actually show you guys videos of Chu. There's this guy named Chu Shang Tin, who was one of Ip Man's top students, basically the one who really learned and grasped this essence and kept teaching it down the line. And bro, the dude's like 80 years old and he's overpowering freaking 20-year-olds. And it's like when you see that, it's almost like imagine seeing your grandpa, dude, like just manhandling.
Hey, can you pull up a video?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, if you let me share my screen, I already have it pulled up just in case.
Oh, cool. I'm gonna make you the host, okay? And I assume that I'm gonna on your computer. I just made you the host, bro.
All right, cool. I'm gonna go ahead and share the screen now. You guys let me know if you see it. Here we go. All right, cool. So here's one of the videos, and we don't have to really pause it there. I can give like a brief description as it kind of runs through. But basically what he's showing here is that he's taking incoming force and directing it straight to the ground. So the guy's not fighting him. He's like fighting the earth, you know what I mean? So, and he's on one leg, by the way. Now imagine this dude is freaking 80 years old. This is like your grandpa uh, doing this, you know? And oh yeah, and he's on a scale. So they're just showing that basically the weight is going straight down. And as you can see, his spine is straight. He's not leaning at all. He's just directing the force straight into the ground. At this point, you have another guy assisting the big man because it's not enough force, and you know that was it. And he actually shows another demonstration here in a moment, where again I think he's still on one leg in this one, but he's like balancing on some small the mahjong piece, which I'm not really sure what that is, but they say it's almost as small as a domino. So he's balancing on something very small. Again, you could clearly see this guy's like trying his hardest, and it's not. Yeah, it's not doing
Wow,
nothing.
dude.
Yeah, he
That guy's
putting it.
fully angled with a bunch of, that guy weighs more and he's angled.
Yeah.
And that dude's just standing straight up and he probably weighs half of what that other guy does.
Yeah, man. And on one leg, and balancing on, I think it's like a domino, some Chinese piece. I'm not with it, but apparently it's as small as like a or close to it. So here, this is just another demonstration of the power that you're able to generate, and it's like you're learning to generate force through relaxation, right? But it's not flat relaxation like laying on the couch. It's like an active relaxation where you're using the mind. It's almost like your arm is so relaxed that it's dead, but your mind is keeping the shape that you want it to keep, if that makes sense. And so when your body is that relaxed, you're actually operating with the mind. So you're actually moving. They have some videos, I can't find them, not even some of his speed, but you know, you're also even operating at the speed of thought. Like he could punch super fast, especially for an old man. And so here, I hope you guys see the video well, and it's not getting too much, but you can see that these, and it's fun. You can also tell the phonies, just a real quick, another a key of observation in case you know you guys watch some of these videos. I think an easy way to know when it's real and it's not is first of all, these, you could tell this is a very relaxed environment. So everyone's wearing regular clothes. It's not even uniform. They're laughing because feel this shit. You're like, what the hell? And then, like, it makes you just, because this old man doing it, you know? So as opposed to looking at hypnotic suggestion. Okay, can you guys hear me? Because it said my internet thing is unstable.
Yeah, it's cutting out a little bit, but we can still hear you all right, I think.
Oh, okay, cool. And hopefully it's reestablished now. But yeah. So in those hypnotic suggestion kind of videos, a big part of what teacher does is they kind of you know, everybody's in uniform, nobody's allowed to. It's a very controlled environment, and the person makes you feel almost make you feel that like you're kind of like a, you know what I mean, and that you have environments, everybody's serious, and when you look at them, like their faces are like in fear, and you know, like it's a very different ambience, different energy to it, and that's what I could when it's like phony. It's not, you know. In case he's really actually trying to learn, you could, old guys actually giving them like pointer stuff like that, you know. He's not just like, I'm the god, the alpha and the omega. He's actually trying to teach them, you know, from a humble so yeah, man, this is what got me started on it. And what I really loved about it, bro, is this taught me too, like, you know, I don't know if you guys ever wondered this, but I always wondered, like, why do monks like practice all this stuff when they're be peaceful, right? And so part of this is you're supposed to be raising the spine the entire time. Easy to do, maybe you're all alone, you know what I mean? You're in a dark room, it's silent and stuff like meditation. But it's another thing to be able to keep raising up the spine while somebody attacks you. You know what I mean? Because easily your mind is back to, oh shit, incoming punch. Oh shit, incoming force. Oh crap, somebody's pulling on my arm. Your mind is so used to going there, to the point of contact, to the point of force, right? Like when you bench press, you're fully into your chest and arms, and you know, it's no different when we're fighting any kind of force. It's our instinct, our natural instinct to kind of hold on, right? To tense everything, turn all the muscles on, right? And this is the opposite, where you're learning to relax instead and raise up that spine and stay there amidst whatever happens. And so, you know, I would always ask all kinds of freaking questions to you know, to my friend, and one of them was like, because apparently, like when you're in this state, because your body's relaxed, it's open, all the joints move free, your muscles are completely relaxed. You can't be in you can't be in a state of fear or anxiety. All of these negative states, they require some type of tension in your body. But because you don't have any tension in your body, you're not fully relaxed. So you could be fighting. This is where the movie shit becomes real. Really be fighting 10, 20 people, but you're completely zen. Like it doesn't matter to you. Like they're all periphery because you're in your spine anyway. You know what I mean? So everything else is peripheral. And
you know,
what's up?
You know, Daniel, a lot of what you're saying, it resonates so much when you talk about active relaxation, because, I meditated most of the day yesterday, and, in deep states of relaxation, when you get good at meditation, you just like you open up the energy channels, and I like how you said, you don't have that tension. So it's in that active relaxation, you actually have the force of the energy. You have more energy permeating through you, and it's that spiritual energy, or that, what they call chi. And because I actively meditate and feel it through me, it makes so much sense what you're saying about even in a combat, you're still in that state,
Isn't that, my bad, go ahead.
No, it's really, it really is intriguing, because, the thing is, it's easy to kind of do it when you're just sitting in the lotus position, and, it's kind of a peaceful state. But to be that way at times when someone brings danger to you, now that's a whole nother level,
That's where you live with no fear.
Yeah. And dude, that's the part that really captivated me the most out of this. Sure, like another thing, to be honest, is like the longevity aspect, because bro, any martial artist, like we deep down know that, like once we get past a certain age, right? Like boxers, like, you name it, like the next 20-year-old is going to come through and, he could run through you. Like you're going to have to harness your skills a lot more, like Mayweather, and kind of adapt in different ways and be more efficient. But this was like, dude, no, you could be even stronger. You can be stronger, more powerful, more. It's wild. So it's like, so the longevity aspect is awesome, and not having to worry about my muscles atrophy, whatever that word is, over time.
Atrophy.
Atrophy over time. Thank you. And but this guy, bro, 80 years old, all his friends, were shrinking with age, because their spine would compress. But because he learned how to decompress his spine, bro, he never lost any height. He's the same height, And so it's a beautiful thing. But one of the things that really gravitated me most was that exactly that you're mentioning right there, Mark, is that, like, it's really cool to be able to meditate. And I'm not knocking it at all. It's awesome. Like being able to meditate in a dark room by yourself with the incense and with everything like set up just right. And then it's another thing to be able to take that state into the road when somebody cuts you off and you're like, namaste, like, and so to me, this is how you actively do it, like this is how, and that's when it made sense what the monks are doing. The monks, literally, they kind of figured out that, okay, so I got meditative, all right, when I go in lotus pose, I could go into meditative state right away, but like, how can I hold it throughout the day? And what is more difficult than something that's life-threatening itself. Like once you can hold that state while getting punched at, while getting, you know, while your life being in danger, then you can essentially theoretically hold that state at all times, 24/7, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's
And
really,
that, Daniel,
what's up?
I just want to say, I kind of, I did like about an 8 to 9 hour meditation before, you know, but it was kind of, and it's the reason I'm saying this, okay? It was kind of like, okay, you know, I did a laying down meditation, then a sitting up, then some qigong, you know, then a standing up meditation, right? And I just, whenever I would kind of be tired of doing Tai Chi and Qigong, I would then sit down. When I got tired of sitting down, I would lay down. When I got tired of laying down, I would stand up. I was able to channel the energy for hours. Now, after 9 hours, I went outside and I went for a walk. I noticed that I didn't really have to do, like, I wasn't trying to sit and almost like just, like the energy was just so on me that it was actually easier to keep that relaxed state. Even when I was walking and doing things, I was fixing stuff and I still had the energy flowing all through me, even while I was doing things. I didn't have to sit and like to say that I was meditating. Okay. So I saying all that to say, I'm trying to picture like a pit bull or someone trying to charge at me, right? And after that long meditation, and I'm just thinking to myself, staying in that relaxed state, if I just relaxed or slightly just threw my elbow at them, you know, like I'm just picturing it in my personal experience. That's all. You know, when you feel that wave of energy pulsating from your hands, from your face, and when you breathe, you don't just feel the breath like, you know, at your nose. You feel the pulsation of the breath on the palms of your hands. You feel the pulsation of the breath on your chest, on your forehead, and it's almost like your whole body, you have this whole breath because there isn't any tension. So it's like you putting together a puzzle for me, because I have to go back to that 9 hour meditation, and the fact that, you know, someone coming at me, the minute I feel anger, the second I feel any danger or that fear, like you say, is when then the restriction will take place, the tension. And then I will have to then use my body as a fraction of my power. Like now I'm using my muscle tendon, okay? Now I'm using the physical force. But at first, before that tension, there was no fractal. There was no hand, no leg, no face, no organs. It was all one synchronistic energy pattern that took place. And everything you saying makes so much fucking sense. So much sense, bro. Like, wow.
This guy is putting off a force field with this Wing Chun. It seems like he's putting out a force field, because the way those guys were moving, it wasn't him grasping them and moving them into those positions. It was like he had a force field kind of pushing on them, it seemed like.
Yeah, so it's interesting that you saw that. And Mark, I love that also that you even mentioned, man, I love the whole dynamic meditation that you did, and how you actually, you know, most people don't even think to do that. Like once you get tired with a certain position, just keep going on another one and another one. You know, most people would just end the meditation there. So I love that you experimented it like that. But that's also what I think also helped you integrate some of that into the rest of your day and the rest of your walk, is that you actually kept that meditative state. You stood up with it. You did qigong with it. You moved around with it. And so it was interesting. Oh, this is what he's doing right now. This is the first form of Wing Chun, right? And that first form is called Silim Tao, and basically it translates into the little idea. And so to riff off what you were mentioning there, it's similar. First, move it all. You're staying in one spot, and you're actually forming a triangle with your feet, where your toes. It feels very like counter. Well, I wouldn't say counterintuitive. It feels counter what we're used to, but it does feel very intuitive once you get the sense of it. And you're forming kind of like a triangle with your feet, and all the movements go down your center. And so you become like a triangle, and the Wing Chun is very geometrical. And so you're using shapes. So to go back to what you were saying, Chris, I love that you caught that, because in a sense it is that you're doing that. Like you're using shapes to combat things. And so a lot of the shapes are circular in nature. They're triangular, and everything is about down the center. So the Wing Chun is also in a way known as the path of effortlessness. And it's not a fancy art like type, like, you know, I'm not even gonna mention any, but like it's not fancy. Like it's not jumping kicks. It's not like whatever, capoeira and stuff like that, where it looks cool. Like Wing Chun does not look cool at all, you know. And it's not to knock on those arts at all, by the way, you know, like those arts they all have their own wisdom, and they're all awesome for their purposes. The Wing Chun is very minimal. It's about getting from point A to point B. What's the quickest way from point A to point B? A straight line. So you do straight punches, straight from your center to the other person's center. Somebody could be way faster than you, but you're going to get there quicker because you're traveling through less space. So like everything about it is just like, when you think about it consciously, it's almost like whoever freaking came up with this thought about every single thing like in a conscious manner, right? And so, yeah, it's like a force. And he actually talks about the difference between Tai Chi and Wing Chun, because he actually practiced a little bit of Tai Chi, and a lot of Tai Chi masters came around to feel him, and people would actually accuse him of using Tai Chi, and he said, actually, I'm doing the opposite of Tai Chi. In Tai Chi, you kind of learn to, and I'm kind of quoting what he says, you know, made him, but in Tai Chi, you kind of develop like this kind of force, like a ball, and you move people around that ball. But with Wing Chun is you are the ball, and then you move that, and that moves everybody else. You get what I'm saying? So it's kind of like the opposite is how he says it, which I found very interesting. But yeah, it's like it does feel like a force field, and then essentially when you really think about it, it is, because if your arms are completely relaxed, you have nothing there, matter of factly speaking, because your muscles aren't tense. It's only your mind that's holding that arm there and keeping it there. It's your mind is saying, I want to keep this shape. This shape will stay there. Of course, he doesn't have to intentionally say this. He's just the way of being.
And you see what he
I
said.
mean?
Sorry, Daniel. You see what he said, Chris? We was talking about this. He said that he was very weak and very skinny and ill. But as he started this practice with this cultivation and stuff like that, his illness disappeared, and he gradually became stronger and stronger as he aged, actually. You know?
Dude, that's the thing, man. Like, we're taught that we just age and get weak, but I mean, when you see this kind of stuff, and we realize that our cells are immortal, and that we can be breatharian and eat sometimes, but mostly don't eat, and just be physically like fucking kids forever. Dude, you could be a master at this. This dude's like a baby compared to what you could be.
Bro.
And that whole room of people, what I just saw him doing, he could have deflected everybody in that room at the same time.
Yeah.
All of them. Easy.
Yeah, and there's the video where he's actually he's got a whole row of people all pushing against him, and he pushes all of them, right? And they ask like, does it make a difference to you, like how many people are there? And he's like, no, not really. I project mentally further, and that's it, you know. And so it's such an interesting thing, and it's funny because a lot of and to touch on another thing, it's funny, Mark, that like you guys understand when I talk this stuff to you guys understand this. I find it so ironic, and this goes back with the spiritual path too, that bro, I cannot talk to martial artists about this. Like when I describe this to martial art, you're right, it's so ironic. Like you would think they would understand out of all people, but they don't, bro. Like they're so stuck, and this shows you like how our mind works, when we're stuck on paradigms. Like they're so stuck in their own arts that like even when I describe this to them, like I don't even know how they're interpreting it in their head. but they're just like, they don't understand that deeper essence. They don't understand like, oh, you're rising up the spine, you're not using muscles, like you're doing something beyond that. They don't get it. And it's funny because I'm teaching a young girl in my neighborhood this art, and like, because she doesn't know martial arts, like sure, she's watched like TV shows and stuff like that, but she hasn't been trained in it, and she meditates. I find that she picks up this stuff like fairly quickly, you know? And so I got to the point where, bro, like in my mind, dog, I don't even think I want to teach this to martial artists, bro. Like I would only bother teaching it to people like you guys, like people who are in this spiritual path, who understand what it is. Because half the time it's kind of like my brother that teaches me this. Like he says, like with the meatheads, half the time you're fighting them to like let go of their old beliefs. Like, no, bro, this is not muscle.
Yeah.
Like that's not how you get it, you know, like that's not how you're gonna do it. So half the time you're just headbutting with them. You're not even learning, you know. So it's like, and that's why I even understand this it really, I understand now like why certain masters, like they want a humility, somebody who's humble, someone who has their cup empty. Because if your cup is already full, it's just, you know, you're just not gonna get nothing out
What's
of
going
that.
on here, dude?
By the way, to describe that,
What's going on?
funny.
What the hell?
It didn't help that it was like all slow motion too. So hold on, let me rectify this, right? So when he's
I
doing,
don't know if that was the right word, but hey, go ahead.
yeah, I know. As I said it too, I was like, I
Right.
don't intend it. But anyhow, it's so what happens is that to get to this state, right, a big part of it is aligning the coccyx bone. Is that how you pronounce it, man? I never even.
Sure, sounds good. Coccyx.
Yeah, your coccyx. Yeah.
Coccyx,
Okay.
yeah.
So that bone, right, when you really get into that state, that bone kind of comes in a little bit. Really, it just relaxes and drops down, and then it aligns completely with the crown of your head. So a lot of times what he's doing is getting people to become like, to bring awareness into that area. So it looks like he's touching his butt, but it's really not. Like if you go to your coccyx right now,
Dude,
like,
he's not, Daniel, he's not touching his butt. He's not touching his butt. He's touching his coccyx, man. Way better. Way better.
Right. Yeah, so like, but if you go to that area, you'll find that it's actually like way higher than, you know, your rectal region. But of course, yeah, if you see it, like you're gonna be like, whoa, what's homie doing?
Yeah, dude, I was just like hoping he wasn't going to go any lower there.
Yeah. All right, stop right there, buddy. So now, yeah, if you feel it, if you feel that area, you'll find that, yeah, it's way above your you know, that area there. And so yeah, it's tuning in. And I forgot to mention, as we spoke about it a little bit before the recording, but this is actually a state that you go into, and you know, not to get all cartoonish, man, but it's like it's like, to me, it's like the Avatar state, you know, with the Avatar, the Last Airbender is really like that. Because when you're not in that state, like say my friend who teaches me this, if he's not in that state, he's just a normal person. You can move him, like he doesn't work out.
So you're saying that there's times where like he's just kind of like, if he's not in that relaxed state, then he basically can't do those things.
No. Yeah.
Right. Makes
Absolutely
sense.
not. And he would get overpowered by all those big people or whatever. Like he would be a regular person.
But dude, what does this show? I mean, what does this show us? The reason I was dying to get you on here is I was listening to your voice clips, man, and I was like, okay, this is good. I'm gonna listen. Let's see what he's got. And as soon as you started talking about this, I thought, fuck, dude, this is exactly. I knew this existed. I knew people were doing this. I just didn't know about it. And this just shows me, this is one little example of what we are capable of. It's one tiny, dude, the powers that were who are going away right now. They're grasping at what they have left. They know what we're capable of, and it scares the shit out of them. That's why they spend a lot of money trying to change our minds, because as soon as they own our mind, they own us. But as soon as we take our mind back away from them, they don't own anything.
Bro, it's wild, man. It is wild, dog. Oh
And
man.
the Daniel, I just have a question about the brother. What did he? What does he do? Like in the sense of what practice? Does he do that practice that we just what the 80-year-old guy does, or does he have like his
Yeah,
own?
so I don't know. I don't believe like he does that same stuff. Yeah, basically, like he may not be able to move the person like as far as the old man does, because the old man's been freaking doing it since he actually passed away a couple years ago. But he was he was doing it, bro, because he ended up getting cancer, and too bad we weren't there to freaking help him, right? Because we
Dude.
could have put him onto the other aspects of life that would have had him healing. You know what I mean? But anyhow, he got cancer, and and even the cancer, he was told it was like very advanced. He would only live 6 months to basically close down his practice and just like spend time with his family. And
And
he came.
that 80-year-old guy.
Yeah, that 80-year-old guy. And so, he was given those 6 months, told like just close down your practice, like spend the next 6 months with your family. And he told his students that, and bro, he lived for another like 6 years, And this is just that part of relaxation that let him live so long, you know what I mean? And of course he had energy cultivation, no doubt. But
Yeah.
Probably
Sorry.
say that. Sorry, go ahead, bro.
No, sorry, I don't want to never interrupt you. I just wanted to say, Chris, you see that video that you shared with the guy that light the paper on fire.
That's exactly what I had in my mind right now, is the paper getting lit on fire.
Yeah, he died in March actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he died this year in March.
Dude, how old was that guy, man? Because he was freaking old even way back when those videos first came up.
He was probably 100 something, but dude, that's nothing. 100 years, you're a effing baby still, man. So get this really quick. I got to throw this in, man, while it's on my mind. So here's what we've got verified. In my view, this is verified. It totally resonates. Daniel, what you're talking about, Wing Chun, that ability to deflect a whole room full of people. You got the strength, you got the force field going. Then combine that with what that other dude was doing with the electricity being harnessed through his body, setting paper on fire, shake somebody's hand and shock the shit out of them.
Yeah.
Dude, we can be invincible, man. This is not a joke. Like, they make these superhero movies based on, they want us to think it's just a comic strip, but we literally have some serious freaking power, man. We've been so stunted by this drug called food and these distractions and this fear that we're just weak little babies until we're 100 years old. We think we've done great. Oh, I'm a centenarian. I lived a great long life. Now I'm going to die. Well, you know what? Screw that shit, man. I'm going to be a millenarian or whatever you want to call it. It's going to be thousands of years, dude. And we're going to learn this stuff. And cancer is a joke. And we know all this other, like, we know all the stuff. Bro. It's not just we know how to set paper on fire. We know how to deflect people. We can learn all of these things and more and become just this. We could literally have force fields around us when we want or need. I know this because we can harness electricity, and that's all that is.
Yeah.
We're super badass, man.
Yep. Yeah, so, and you see, Chris, even that's what I was saying. Even if you eat, even if you if you just stay on the practice consistently every day, which is nothing more than deep states of relaxation. That's really what it is. Because what people don't get is, in deep states of relaxation is when you have the most energy, the body is now functioning holistically, and you're using the core of your energetic field, Now, when you couple two other things with it: one, food freedom, like you; two, sexual mastery, where you don't ever lose your seed. Either you're celibate, which is the highest level, okay, celibacy. They call that brahmachari.
I call that not happening. But I mean, for the most part, For the most
No.
part, dude.
I'm gonna say something now, and then you
Say
have one in the Perfect Matrimony, beautiful book. You have a partner that you're connected with, and then you know that's also another high level as well, where it's chastity. You know, you have a partner you're connected with, and you explore each other's souls. Because if you have sex with multiple people without having that connection, you're only having sex with bodies.
Yes.
You're not having sex with the soul. Okay, so you're just thrusting on bodies. There's no depth to it. And you're more than likely, you could be losing your seed now. But when it's a woman, like in your case, Chris, that you're connected to, you know, then the sex takes on a multi-dimensional phase, you see? So again, with the sexual mastery and the food freedom coupled with the cultivation, those things coming together, I think that's the message that we can bring. And if we just bring this Trinity and we bring it all together, we already see what cultivation can do with just people that just eat every day. And hey, they could be having sex and stuff like that. But look at that and look at what they accomplished.
Dude,
and oh my God,
when you're with the one you're supposed to be with, I can tell you, I'm speaking here from experience, you do not lose, you don't feel the energy loss. There is no energy loss.
Yo, if I can add to that, you know,
absolutely.
I 100% believe in that as well, bro, especially with like tantra. And I believe you can circulate the energy like Mark was saying, you know, most people just do it physically, but if you're doing it spiritually and you're circulating that energy between two beings to the point they become one, I believe honestly, you know, I don't want to even get there because that's speaking beyond my experience, but I believe you can get to a very, very, very advanced level because love feeds love, where your love feeds her love and her love feeds her. And that's why we call it love making, right? It's supposed to create even more love.
Right.
Like, you should get to the point where every time you have sex, every time you make love, you're making even more than the time before, but we've got lost with all that. And just to give one example, bro, where I've seen it clear as day, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Akai and Camila, but bro, I had seen some of their old videos, bro, and they look older in their old videos than they do now. You know what I mean? Like they look like they're getting younger and more beautiful. You know? And
you know what, dude? You know what? I can see that, man. I could see that. That makes sense to me. That resonates.
Yeah. So
you're increasing.
I believe it 1,000%, bro. Like you become one system. You fully harmonize. Your love feeds her, her love feeds you, and I see it 100%. I'm with the celibacy thing too. I think that thing's awesome. I've been doing it personally, but like you say, Chris, like I know at some point, you know, it's gonna probably be very far from the future, and I'm loving life right now. I'm in no hurry for it. But when that comes, bro, I know it's gonna be powerful, man. I know. Yes. Yeah, bro. So, man,
dude, I want to make sure I throw this out because you guys know I'm all about the physical health part, because it really is, you know, our 3D vehicle, it's a reality. We were given a temple and it operates in a certain way, and the temple likes to clean itself out with your blood. Your blood cleans up the old cell, the cellular waste, but those old cells are only purged when the body has the full energy to do so. And it has that energy when you keep it mostly free of food. It has to be that way. You can still eat. You don't have to be sitting in a cave and go years without food. You don't have to do that. But you could eat like every other day, even once, a small healthy thing, or every few days or whatever. But you've got to do the long-term cleansing of the temple if you really want to be flowing. If you want energy and electricity to be able to flow through all your cells, the blockages have to be removed. And that's a physical reality. It has to happen. I believe this. So when you have guys that are getting cancer, but they're able to like move 20 guys out of their way, they've mastered that, but they haven't mastered the health side of it. And it's sad. But you see, we right now in this time, this is groundbreaking shit right now, what we're talking about, all of us bringing to the table all this stuff. Because Mark, you're talking about meditation that I'm just starting to learn. Daniel, you're talking about something that I knew we were able to do, but I never heard anybody with a story. And that's all that we want on this show, by the way, is not just speculation and theories. We want people that have done it, seen it, or done it or seen it. Really, I mean, that's it.
Dude.
And
oh, my bad.
No, go. I'm about done, dude. But I mean, I wanted to make sure people know there's a physical reality.
I was going to piggyback on what you said. You know, it's interesting. There's this because I've got, bro. There's so much shit out there, bro. There's just so much. Forget misinformation. There's obviously a shitload of misinformation, but there's just a lot of information, bro, period. And you don't know what to follow, man. So I've really gotten down to the philosophy, bro, of actually there's a tribe in the Amazon that go by this philosophy, and I think it resonates, man. And sure, everything has pros and cons, but there was this particular tribe, and they're actually known as being one of the happiest tribes in the world. And I forget what it is with their language, but they're the first language that there's something different about their written language, that it has no structure, that they don't have written language. I don't remember what it was, but anyhow, the point is that a lot of missionaries tried to convert them, you know, into Christianity and all this stuff, and they couldn't, for the simple fact that this tribe, anything that you told them, any story that you mentioned to them, they would ask you a very simple question: did you yourself experience this? If the answer was no, they would ask, do you, who you personally know, experience this? Not somebody you know on Facebook or YouTube, or somebody you're not, no, somebody you personally, like blood to blood, like eye to eye, like you have met, you know them, you know what I mean? And if the answer was no to that, bro, like you could tell them all the stories you want, they're not going to hear it. It was irrelevant.
Is this where the GTFO acronym originated? Or GTFOH, the get the fuck out of here with your bullshit? Dude, that sounds like the no bullshit tribe. I want to join.
Right, bro? I love that philosophy, and I'm living more and more by that, bro. Like I live with my 5 senses, with all of my senses, right? Because we got more than that, and there's some senses, bro, which I trust even more than. But anyhow, that's going off subject. But damn, there was something else that you said, man, that I really wanted to touch on, man.
I was talking about the physical reality of our bodies and being cleared out. And
oh yeah. So going on to the fasting, right? So because, you know, at this point, I basically, like, bro, a couple of times a month, I'm mainly on liquids, and I dry fast a lot. And I could tell you right now, bro, when I'm empty, I feel this more. It's easier for me to go into the state. I'm more relaxed. I feel, like you said, we're electric beings. I feel that more. Everything, especially, bro, I hate to even call it, like you said, I call it power fasting when I go quote unquote dry, because like you, bro, I don't feel thirsty, my throat doesn't get dry, none of that shit. I can exercise and feel great afterward. So and when I'm in that state, especially power fasted, bro, I could go into it so much easier, because it's like when you're power fasted, your natural state, you're already relaxed, bro. Like you're already, like, you're not trying hard on everything. Like you're just going with life. And that's what I really liked about the Wing Chun principles, is that it teaches you life principles, right? Like as soon as you disconnect, right, you go into your arm when you're fighting force, and you're no longer, like Mark was saying, he felt that one where it's just his entire body. Yeah, like if you fight like that, if you go up against force with your as one, then you have your entire body behind you, you know. But naturally our brain goes into that specific system that's being messed with, and then we disconnect from the full system, the full unit, you know. It's like everything goes back to harmony, you know. But we just never knew that even our muscles were like that. When we tense up, you know, like my friend says, like when you tense up, it's literally like, imagine a hose that gets tangled. You're blocking off that water, so you're blocking off the energy actually when you tense up your muscles, you know? And so you got to relax it. And I know it's a crazy concept to understand. Like I'm still trying to understand it myself, you know, because it's one thing to understand it conceptually, it's another thing to, when some shit hits the fan, you instantly go into your spine, as opposed to, you know, our knee-jerk reaction is like, this oh shit, you know, like you might even literally say oh shit in your head. And you know, this trains you to get to the point where your natural response, and I've gotten to that point now, is, bro, my natural response when some crazy shit happens is I take a deep breath and I center myself, you know. And it's so crazy because a lot of the things that you see, bro, like fear, man. And that's why I've come to realize that it's not even, well, what is intelligence? You know what I mean? I think our definition of intelligence is a lot different, but in the traditional sense of intelligence, it's not even about that, the way the masses are operating. It's just that fear, I think the first thing it attacks is your intelligence. So when you have fear, bro, you would literally do the dumbest shit. The smartest person in the world will do the dumbest shit. You know, one time we were at South Beach and, you know, gunshots rang off, and bro, it was a stampede. Like, I don't know how many hundreds of people running in the same direction. And it's funny because me and him, bro, like, we were the only ones who, like, it felt like in a movie like that, we stopped time. Like, we didn't move nowhere. We stayed still. We looked around. Okay, there's a mass coming there. Let's jump this fence and not get freaking stampeded on. And we had so much time to respond accordingly that he even, like, you know, he noticed one girl was like completely like lost and like freaking out, and he grabbed her and he's like, "It's going to be okay, my love," and brought her to safety on the sidewalk. You know, but people don't even realize when something like that happens, they could literally be running straight into the danger. They don't even know where the gunshots came from. They don't even stop to think where it came from. You know what I mean? And so we did the opposite. We stopped and we looked around for the threat, you know, noticed that there was no immediate threat, and simply walked into a building, bro, like calmly as hell, you know? Yet all these other people, because they let fear get to them, their thought process is literally not even operating. And I feel like that's a lot of what's going on right now in the world, and why quote unquote opposition, or whatever the hell you want to call them, where I'm even getting to the point where I don't even want to give that stuff too much energy. I don't even like to even, like, you know, like, bro, I'm starting to get to the point, man, where it's like, I'm going to help people unlock their brain and get rid of fear and anxiety and live in love. And then you're going to find out, like, you're going to know. Because once you're living in love, and actually there's from Osho where he mentions that in one of his books, like, you can't control a man who's in love. He said that. And he mentions how, like, how can you get a man who's in love to go to another country and fight another and fight another man who he doesn't even know, who has not affected his family at all? How are you going to get that man to do that? You know what I mean? And so I thought that was so true, and it ranks so true to me, bro. And so, yeah, man, sorry to get off on that rant, but yeah. So, that's what.
I like that. You know, I do. And one thing with love is, it's, you know, you realize that it's just pure energy, you know, because anytime you see love and fear, it all has to do with fear equals energy exhaustion, tension, restriction. Love equals unlimited energy flow, you know, just flow and just allowing for the rivers of life, again, the laws of life to just flow through. And you could tell that there is something taking place when you think incorrectly, or when you live in fear, or don't have your emotions stable, because your lymphatic system gets backed up, your blood gets sluggish. There is some type of sluggish flow of fluids that take place. So the way you live and the way you're thinking is causing like a dam that's taking place, you know.
And not talking just about in the physical sense.
Yeah, in the physical sense, but what's physical is still spiritual,
right?
You know. Yeah, and that's the thing. When you have high toxicity levels, or, you know, emotions unstable with the high toxicity levels, even though you cultivate, I can't imagine, again, like me and Chris spoke about how he's in that food-free state. So much fear is dispelled off rip from the food and water shortage, from even a lack of money. Even having a lack of money is like, because what's the biggest purpose? The biggest fear with the lack of money is not being able to eat and drink. So everything is connected. So if you get yourself to a state of consciousness, it seems like what you said, Daniel, it's all about being able to be in love in many different circumstances and avenues in life, not just about the life of comfort, where in all what it is, in all states of your life, whether you have a lot of money, whether you have no money, whether you have a nice home or no home, whatever it is, you still carry that love with you.
And you're still happy, regardless.
Still happy.
And dude, when you have that love in you, you are working with nature. When you have every other emotion, you are working against nature. You're going uphill. It's a job, it's work, it's hard to be fearful. It's draining. But when you're in love, dude, you're just flowing. You're like going down. I say downhill in a positive way. There's no, you're walking downhill. There's no effort when when love is what you have in you.
Down the stream.
Absolutely. Good stuff, brothers.
Yeah.
Chris, I think we went over an hour,
Yeah, people are going to be pissed, dude. People are going to be very...
Yeah, I don't want it to be 3, 2, 3, 4 hours and someone be like, all right, that's kind of...
Right.
Yeah. No.
So the last thing I would like to just cap off with, is that going back to the spiritual principles, right? Like that acceptance, because I really resonate hard with Eckhart Tolle. I don't know if you guys are familiar. Being present and in the moment. And he talks about accepting, like even negative emotions, just accept it and you'll find that they go right through you. You know what I mean? Like they're only giving you a message, but you block the message. So then they scream louder and louder and louder. And then you drugged it up and whatever. And then it screams even louder. You know what I mean? But if you would have taken the message and just accepted it, it just goes through. And so it's like, we kind of understand that at the spiritual aspect, but then we say, oh, but in the physical aspect, I have to fight this force. And with the Wing Chun, we learned that, no, you don't fight force. You accept the force. You let that shit come in. And when you do, your whole body is behind you. You know what I mean? And it goes straight into the ground. So, I just wanted to just cap it off, like with even in the physical realm, this acceptance, this surrendering, but in a positive way, not surrendering because you gave up and like, oh, poor me. No, surrender like you surrendered to just the flow of life, and wherever it goes, you're in full acceptance of it. It's true in every realm. And in martial arts, we're taught we have to be aggressive, yet now I've seen firsthand that even then it's about being calm and at peace, and you'll be able to subdue any aggressive Hulk opponent. It'll be even worse for them, and their energy sorry, go ahead.
Yes.
No,
yeah. And
it's their energy is short-lived, like that runs out. The anger, the muscular tension, all of that runs out. They eventually run out of breath. But because you're in that, like you said, in a sense you're in love because you're in a unified state of being, and that state flows forever. Like Chris said, it becomes effortless. You just flow. You're not fighting currents. Life becomes easier, man. And that's what it's all about. And that's because
that's the natural state is love.
Yeah.
That's the natural state. Unlimited energy. Unlimited. Yo, Daniel, good job. Good job, bro. You really did put things together. And Chris, everything he's saying, even from our previous podcast, it's the first step is being able just to sit in darkness and just sit and just learn to sit and just be, because if that's the first step, like you can't just, if you just try to jump to trying to be relaxed and fight, you got to first make contact with the love energy first.
Yeah.
In meditation, in sitting down, in just be, and sitting down for, again, you could choose a day that's just dedicated to it. Just sitting in nature, just being, just staying relaxed and just letting the energy come into your crown chakra, come into your hands and pulsate. And you will start to then feel like, wow, this is really amazing. Then what I'm realizing is it's better, Daniel, for example, because what I forgot about this. I did start to kind of shadow box a bit after I did the 8-hour meditation, because I realized I didn't even need to, it was just on me so easy, So it's like, what you should try to do is as you meditate and stuff, try to go on a 2 to 3 hour meditation. And then when you get off it, just practice throwing some blows, and you could feel the wave of energy kind of move from, it's just really amazing, man. And it's like, the way that they even taught what a warrior was bullshit. Ain't that some shit?
Yeah.
Dude, the Hollywood fight scenes, I have to just say this really quick. One thing, when you're deep into, my only experience with feeling something out of body really has been when I was deep into dry periods of 8-9 days, week plus, 1 week plus, no food, no drinks. And everything is in slow motion. Like, even if somebody was to move towards me, they're moving slow. I can tell exactly what they're doing ahead of time. It's when you're aggressive and there's a fear that everything moves faster, and you're not as good. You're not as quick. You're not as, you don't time things as good. You don't sense things as good. And you're going to get hurt easier. And I wanted to make a statement on these fight scenes that we see in these Hollywood movies. Mostly that shit's not going to happen the way they show it. That guy's going to get his ass kicked. That dude's going to get his ass kicked by those 10 guys. They're not all standing there waiting for him to take his turn at them, So, but when you got this Wing Chun and you're in this state, you're using your spirit, your mind, you really are able to do that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But the way Hollywood portrays it, that shit's not happening like that.
And, even Bruce Lee, just to piggyback on that, even Bruce Lee himself said, like, me kicking you in the face is like punching you in the foot. Like, he himself admitted, like, he wouldn't do half that shit, it's just for sure. And it's true. Like, why would you try to, I'm sure there's certain circumstances which I may call for it, but, it's about more practicality. And bro, when I go into the state, it's a different. I remember one time when we were at the gym and he had 2 people come at me at the same time. And he's like, all right, go into your boxing stance, And in my boxing, I felt like I could hold them out and control the distance for a little bit, but there was a wall behind me, right? At one point, they can just, especially if they both come in at the same time, they can overwhelm me at some point. Mm-hmm. When then he's like, all right, now go into the Wing Chun state. And man, when I did, bro, like what you said, man, I felt like I had all the time in the world to respond. I had all the space. Like, literally, it still is one-on-one. Even if it's 20 people, it's like it still is one person at a time, especially, when you know how to control the angles and this and that. Like, you can easily make it so that you're really only fighting one person at a time. Mm-hmm. So, and again, my friend says that really people aren't fast. Like, they're really not fast. They just appear fast because, like you said, you're in that state of fear where everything's like, oh, and you're not there. But when you're really in that state, like, you can see it clear as day, man. And some of the deep states that I've really gone into, bro, I've gotten to the point, I know it sounds crazy, I've gotten to the point where I've become so connected that I can almost tell what the person's about to do before they even themselves know it. Because even the thought itself manifests in the body. They did something. They shifted their weight a little bit to the right leg, or the shoulder tensed up. So, and then your mind, you didn't even analyze it, but your mind already knows what that is. That can only be a jab. The way that his body is setting up right now, right? If you do it frame, slow motion, that can only be a jab because a hook is set up a different way. This is going on though. This is your intuition, so you're not analytically thinking that, but your intuition already thought all that for you,
and it's seemingly slowing it down for you so you can analyze it as it's coming at you. I know that. It's fucking badass, man.
That's amazing, man.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But brothers, I as much as I want to continue, I do want to keep it at maybe we could do a part 2,
No, I'm mad. I wanted to go 3 hours, dude. Come on.
Okay.
No, that's cool.
I'm sorry, Chris, but we want people to listen to it. So
I know.
Yeah.
All right.
Daniel, you'll be back, man. And Maybe we could get
100%.
your friend, dude. Maybe we can get your friend on.
Dude, I'm gonna try my best, man. He's been really off. Like I haven't heard from him in a while. Last time I spoke to him was like a month and a half ago. He's been kind of like purposely like purging himself from everything. So so he's on that tip. So let's see, man. If we could get him on, that would be dope as hell. But either way, man, it has been a freaking honor and a pleasure, bro.
Hell yeah, brother.
The vibes were just as I thought it would be.
You know, Daniel, really, really appreciate it, brother. You really brought something to the table here.
Hell yeah.
You connected the dots for me. You really did. And I once again, to the listeners that been involved, I really hope you got a lot of value from this. And even we're going to even debunk even what they call the ninja, the warrior, all of it. You start to see that high states of love and deep relaxation even is the foundation for combat. This is what they mean.
You're the biggest badass. The most love is the toughest dude.
Is the toughest dude. No weapon form against me shall prosper.
Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah.
Yep. You know, so
Unlimited beings, bro.
Heck. Oh man, dude. This is just, I love this. This is fun, man.
Yeah, it is. So anyway, family, hope you enjoyed Daniel, and hope the interaction we can have him on again in the future. All right. So
Definitely.
you guys have a good night, man. Much love.
Much love. Take care, Daniel.